This is our new upgrade kit for the Supersonic 48. You're seeing it at the same time I'm seeing it for the first time, so I haven't even taken anything out of a packet yet, but I know how I designed these parts, and it was all about 2 months ago, so let's see what I can remember. First time I took this thing out, I bent a turn fin on it. And not only bent the turn fin like pretty much straight up, I bent the bracket. The bracket on here isn't very strong, and I managed to bend that too. So I thought, first thing, if I'm going to make the turn fin twice as thick, which I've done. Okay, it's still sharp at the front, so we got no problems there. It's just thick in the body of it. Also, that bracket is bigger, so it's a little bit thicker. It's probably 1 mil thicker, but it's actually bigger this way to give it more strength. And secondly was the trim tabs. It's probably what we get asked about the most of. People want bigger trim tabs on this thing. So what I've done is longer than the standard trim tab. Also, it's not just a bit of tin with a an adjuster that if the boat was to flip and catch the water, these things just bend straight down, because there's nothing holding the top to the bottom of it. So, and once they, it's tin, so once it bends, it's just easy to bend the second time. So that's why we have these CNC tabs. You can see like the difference. This is actually aluminium. Got two adjusters, and the reason why I didn't just put one adjuster in the middle was because of the outlet for that water. Having to do two extra, or an extra cost having to do that extra, but not much you can do about it. So using the same bolts to get these on, I can see I'm going to have to take these off to get the bolts in there. So I'll just do that. Lift them up. If you're going to use any Loctite on these bolts, don't use red Loctite. Don't use something that's really, really strong, because you'll just pull the plastic threads out of it. Okay. Well, that's good. That tells me we've got the hole spacings perfect, which is always a little bit of a concern when you're doing products for ready to run boats. Everybody wants everything to line up perfectly. Okay, so I'll just slip my bolts back in there, and then that's that taken care of. The major part of this upgrade is this, for a few different reasons. The stinger, or the strut on the old one, is not adjustable. You can see the way they do the stuffing tube on this, it doesn't allow any adjustment at all. So what I've done was design a much stronger L bracket for a start. That one there. How's this go? Must be this like that, I think. It's going to be there, that's going to go in there, and there's no way you're ever going to be able to bend that in a flip. What else did I do? I've gone with obviously the two pickups either side into two outlets. I specifically made these outlets further apart for people that want to use extra thick water tubing, like the one they put on the standard one. It's just normal thickness. There's plenty of room between there. But if you wanted to use some 8 mil outside diameter, these are 7 mil I think, you can fit 2 of those on there. I've also done a kickback function on here, so you tighten both those bolts up. The bottom one, you just don't do it super tight, in case you do hit something, she can flick back. What else? I've also put roller bearings in here, 2 different two in there. These are the most expensive roller bearings you can buy. You can see they're made in Japan on there. They're stainless steel. They'll give the least amount of friction on the cable, and you can probably see we're going to have a problem. We're going to have a little bit of work to put this on. I mean, don't get scared, but it means you're going to have to cut this, and you wouldn't be able to adjust it if you didn't cut that. So it's not the end of the world. You just need an 11 and a 12 to loosen that off. Take this out, get your angle grinder and cut it. So I'll do that now. Okay. All right, this is the bearing they used in there. It's a little bit different, a little bit unusual. Nothing wrong with it, but it's just a bit different than you're going to probably see on any other boat. Another thing I'm going to do is the weak point of a 1/4 inch cable when it's like this is the step down. It goes from the 1/4 inch to 3/16 for the 3/16 prop. This part here, this stub shaft here where it steps down, is the weakest part of all this. So I'm going to do it as an upgrade, 1/4 inch all the way through with a 1/4 inch bore prop in this upgrade size, which is 55/14. Can't remember how many kilometers an hour it gained, but it was really noticeable. It was like, I don't know, at least 15 k's an hour or something. So I'll keep that size prop, and just do these cables with a 1/4 inch as an upgrade with that prop. Okay, so these 6 holes are going to fit there. Let's cut this. Okay, so I've measured where our first bearing starts in there, and the distance from here to there is 55 mil. So I'm going to cut it at 55 mil and see how that goes. See if that gives me enough of adjustment. So just a metal cut-off blade. Okay, you can see that's where the Teflon liner is there as well. Okay, so I may need to take some more off. We'll just see what adjustment that gives me. I mean, if I was to cut it right back here, it's really not going to matter. But let's just do it with the maximum amount of tube in there. It would just give more area for the Teflon tube to be, you know, on the cable there. Less chance of water coming up, or less water coming up. So I'm going to be using the same bolts that came with it to mount this back on. Again, I wish I had my sample so I could tell if this is thicker than the sample, to tell if I'd need longer bolts or not, but it's a fair bit going in there. That's all right. And there's 6 of them, so we're all good. So let's see what that's going to look like. If that's on there. Need to get this adjustable. Okay, I do have adjustment there. If I didn't have enough adjustment, I would obviously make it shorter. It does give me some. Oh, and the other thing, while I remember it, the movement on here, in between here and this pin on the original one, which you'll be able to tell on your own boat, was shocking. Like I could move the bottom of this like that almost. It was just crazy how much play there was in there. So I specified I don't want any play, which I don't have, which is exactly what I wanted. It's how we do all our rudders anyway. Always make sure we don't have any play. What I'm going to do is just take a few more millimeter off there, just so I'm not maybe doing this twice. So I'm going to take another about 5 off. It's really not going to matter. will just give me a chance to be able to move it up and down a little bit more. So I've got that now at, yeah, I've gone 10, so about 45. Okay. Let's hope these 3 holes or 6 holes line up. Pretty important. Especially since I've got about 50 of these made up. I really want it to be right. Okay, that's good so far. Alright, cool. Well, that gives me plenty of adjustment. Okay. Alright, so I'll put the bracket on now. Where'd you go? Here we go. This is probably the biggest tip of this whole thing. Make sure you do put Loctite on these 2 screws. You can't have this part falling off. Even if you don't want to put Loctite on anything else, make sure you do it on these. Get it around the right way, that way. So these are, the rudder is threaded, so you don't have to put a nut on the back. Obviously you've got stainless steel bolts going into an aluminium piece, so you know, don't get your all the force that you have on there. Just be sensible about it. You'll have the Loctite on in there anyway. There we go. Just going to drop a bolt down there, which I've put most of my bolts away, so it's not going to be one of these. It's going to be an M3. These are M4. Yeah, it's going to be an M3 bolt that came in the kit, but I've put everything away. So, washer and lock nut on the bottom. M3, so it's 5.5 mil nut, and 1.2 mil actually on this one. Yeah. Okay. Where's the 5.5? Here it is. Okay, so that's the whole kit sorted. All this is going to be a kit on the website. For right now, not the turn fins, because they drilled the holes in the brackets in the same place for each side. I need one side in the low side, one side in the high, and they just gave them to me, the 2 exactly the same. I've had to drill 2 in the bottom here to make this fit. So for that reason, I'm not going to have the turn fins on the website for now. I'll get new brackets made up, and then I'll list it as a complete kit, or you'll be able to buy these separate if you want. Just people these days don't want to be mucking around, so it's just easier not to sell something that needs something done. The trim tabs, they came with the grub screws on the side here, one on each side. I've taken the bottom ones out, and I've turned them around 90 degrees, so all the adjustment is in the top. So to adjust them, it's just loosen them off, tight, and adjust it, tighten it back up. Otherwise it's a matter of like trying to get this in here and then this one here. Set everything flat or almost flat. I've pulled the trim tabs up just a tiny little bit. Don't know what you can see there. So I've just got them a little bit above level. I've started with the Stinger level. These things sit pretty well in the water, so that may wipe speed off having it dead level. And with the with the trim tabs being longer, so you might experiment with that. If it seems slower than it was before, just lift the tabs up a bit, and now you have the option to lift this up a little bit too.